Buenos dias, señores y señores. Guten Tag und guten Morgen. Today I'm gonna sculpt Hollow Knight. So let's get right into it. Since Hollow Knight is quite small, I thought that today would be a chill little video where I don't have to edit as much as I usually do. In the last video I've spent like 7 days editing straight, so I thought that this time I would stop and take a small little break from making over-exaggerated intros that no one really cares about. Since the video would be a bit too short, I thought I'd show you how I kinda sketch Hollow Knight first. As you might have seen in one of my TikToks, most often than not, I make a quick little drawing of a figure that I'm sculpting. That way I know the basic proportions of the body as well as its overall size. This helps in making the wire skeleton that I usually do. Usually I don't really show it because I want to have that part of the art for myself. But since this time I kinda felt like it and the video would otherwise be a bit short, I thought I'd show you this time. Now I'm not the best at sketching, but it's good enough. Also, I spent like maybe 10 minutes doing this. Actually, that's wrong, I spent 5 minutes, I know, because I recorded the entire thing. But, yeah. It's nice when it's nice. I also made a little sketch of Hornet, because I might sculpt her one day as well. I don't know it yet, because, to be honest, this is kinda like a request of a friend. And I don't really know anything about Hollow Knight or Silksong, so yeah, don't hate me for it. If you want me to sculpt Hornet as well, you can comment that down below and I will consider it. Anyways, there is not much to say here otherwise, so just enjoy the process. With the sketch now completed, I now had to sculpt Hollow Knight. As you can guess, the first thing that I had to do was make the wire skeleton. I bent some iron wire into the position that I wanted it to and covered it a bit with aluminum foil. I then also added his neck as well as an arm using aluminum wire. Following that up, I covered the entire thing with clay. While I was at it, I also made sure to blend everything together and smoothen everything out into the shape that the body needed to be. Once that was done, I used something that I've never used before. Wire mesh. My idea was that I would be able to separate the head from the cape as well as the sword and the base. So I tried something. For that I had to cut out a square of the wire mesh, which I then put on top of a tape hole, I guess you can call it, and pressed in a pen inside it. That way I would get a cone shape. I then had to cut up the top, and that was the base for the cape of Hollow Knight. I also bent it in the shape that I wanted the cape to be in, and cut out some excess wire. Before I put clay on it, I used something that I've never used before. And that is Cosclay separator. You're supposed to put 2 layers on the clay that is already baked, and then cover it with the clay that you want to sculpt. Once the clay separator was dried, I added the wire mesh and then covered the entire thing with Cosclay doll. This is only the very first layer to stabilize the wire mesh. I would add the details later. After the first layer of clay was added, I just had to torch it, because I was too lazy to bake it. Then I removed it to check if the separator worked, and luckily it did. Anyways, it was now time to sculpt the details of the cape. For that, I rolled out various different sized clay noodles in the shape of a cone and added them to the already hardened cape. That way I can easily reproduce the folds of the cape as well as the rigid lines on the outside. Once the clay was added, I just had to blend the edges together and give it a better shape overall. With the cape now baked, I just had to cut out a bit of the excess wire mesh, and I also removed the headpiece. Yep, it still separates, which is good. Since I wanted to make a silicone mold, I had to make sure that the underside wasn't as rigid as it is now, so I added more clay and blended it smooth. You won't really see the underside anyway, so I didn't bother with making details. Moving on, it was now time to make the head. For that I added a piece of clay to be able to separate the head from the body, and covered it with an aluminum ball to not waste much clay. Once the clay was added onto the head, I had to press in the eyes. Before I make his horns, I had to bake the head first. Then I drilled in 2 holes on each side for the wires to stick in. I then went ahead and covered the wires with Cosclay doll and then regular Cosclay. Once the clay was added, it was just a matter of blending it smooth and give it the overall shape. Then I had to bake the head again and added the final detail of the horns. Setting that aside, it was now time to make the base. Usually I put him on a little pedestal, or better said a wooden plate, but this time I didn't. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, since I don't know anything about Hollow Knight, I have no clue what I'm sculpting here. To me it kinda looks like a heart, because of these side thingies that are sticking out, but yeah, if you can tell me what that is, please do that. Anyways, as always, I first added aluminum foil to the floor and then covered it with clay. Once I had the basic shape right, I started to add these things on the side that kinda look like the main veins that are coming out of a heart. For that I just put some pieces of clay on the sides and blended them to shape them round. Then I added the details. I also used a wooden stylus to press in some details and make the overall surface a bit more rigid. With that done, I then added small clay noodles onto the entire figure. I don't know what they are and what they are supposed to be, but since it's kinda like a heart, they look like veins to me. Only this time, smaller veins. And with that, the base is done. The only detail missing is his little sword, or better said, needle. I think it's a needle. For that, I cut out a large triangle out of a wooden plate and sanded the edges a bit. To make the handle, I cut out a small piece of wood out of the bottom of the triangle and then glued on a piece of metal wire. After that, I added some more Cosclay doll and smoothened the edges. I also carved in some cracks. With that, I just had to put the entire thing into the oven. And like I stated earlier, I also made some silicone molds, which I definitely didn't crash out over it, because they definitely all turned out fine. I'm a professional after all. Yeah, I kinda fucked up the mold for the head. I think I have to use measuring cups next time. Well anyways, once the silicone molds were done, I put them in the chest where I keep all the other silicone molds. And yeah, started painting. Luckily, the painting process this time only took me an hour. So first I started with the head, which I painted completely white. Since the eyes are black and I wanted to differentiate them from the body, to make them appear deeper than they actually are, I used the darkest black that you can buy online. I then painted the cape using a mixture of grey and a tad bit of blue. That way it would look a little bit more different to the sword, which is grey. But since to me it kinda looked a bit plain, I also added a little bit of grey dry brush on top of it. That way it kinda gives it some texture. Moving on, I painted the sword black. That way the grey pops a bit more. While painting it grey, I made sure not to hit the cracks, since to be able to see them, they had to be darker than the rest. And to finish it off, I also dry brushed some even lighter grey on top of it. The final thing was painting the base and the body. The body is plain black, which was quite easy, but as for the base, that's a little bit more tricky. Since the base appears to be a bit of a metallic rock, I think, I dry brushed some metallic grey. I wasn't really happy with how that looked, so I went back and dabbed on some more black, and to add the final touch I also dabbed on some silver. With that, it was now time to assemble the entire figure and glue it together. First the base, then the body, then the sword, then the cape, and last, the head, which I glued together with super glue. And there you have it, that's Knight from Hollow Knight. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then you know the drill. Like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever. Do as you please. I apologize yet again for not having a single clue about this game, other than it's supposed to be really good. And yeah, if you want to see more of what I'm doing, please check out my channel as well as my Instagram. I post regular updates there, so you won't miss a thing. I reached 10k on TikTok yesterday, which I'm really thankful for. Thank you for that. I can finally make some playlists and even get monetized, which it's probably gonna be a few bucks a month, but better than nothing. Yeah. I'm really excited for the next one that I'm gonna sculpt. This was just a little in-between project, so I hope you really don't mind, since I made a poll where most of you said that I had to do this one next. Yeah, sorry. I wanted to do something else first. I still have time for the movie to release. Anyways, with that said, yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and see you guys next time. Bye bye.